Sean Diddy Combs, once one of entertainment's most powerful moguls, accused of crimes so heinous, he faces the possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars.
My next guest just testified before a federal grand jury. He says he was in possession of a trove of digital evidence from Diddy's freak-offs and parties.
Prince's last Diddy recording played in trial.
The first Diddy party I went to was at Prince's house. So you want to go to Prince's house to the Diddy party where Tyrese is performing and Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher are swinging on swings. That is what's happening on the other side of the wall. And so the one thing that makes this party different than a Jamie Foxx party or any other celebrity party that wrangles a bunch of young women or guys or whatever too, is that Diddy didn't let you bring your security in the party.
The courtroom fell silent as Prince's voice echoed through the speakers. Everyone froze. Journalists stopped typing, spectators held their breath, and Diddy's carefully constructed facade began to crumble right before our eyes. Day 3 of the explosive trial started like the others. Journalists scrambled for seats, celebrities slipped in through side doors, and legal teams arranged their papers with practiced precision. But something felt different this morning. The courtroom wasn't just full, it was electric. Security had doubled their presence. 4 officers positioned themselves directly behind Diddy's table, something they hadn't done on previous days. A court insider later revealed they received special instructions that morning, though nobody explained why. Diddy entered wearing a perfectly tailored navy suit, nodding at supporters and flashing his famous smile. His legal team surrounded him like a protective shield. He looked like a man who thought he had everything under control. What he missed was the unusual activity at the prosecution table. 2 tech specialists quietly set up equipment that hadn't been present during the first 2 days. They tested connections while the lead prosecutor glanced at Diddy with unmistakable anticipation. The judge entered and made an unusual statement. I want to remind everyone present that regardless of what evidence is presented today, I expect complete composure in my courtroom. Any disruptions will result in immediate removal. The prosecution's opening statement seemed routine until the lead prosecutor suddenly stopped mid-sentence. Your Honor, at this time the prosecution would like to present critical audio evidence recently authenticated by our forensic team. The defense immediately objected, claiming they hadn't been properly notified about this evidence. After a heated sidebar, the judge ruled in the prosecution's favor. Then came the words that changed everything. What you are about to hear is the final private recording made by Prince Rogers Nelson before his death.
It became such a big deal back then is ever since my 3rd album, I wasn't really taking large advances from the recording companies. I was recording the albums myself in my own studio. So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work. I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise. And they would always hold this contract up and say, well, you signed it. And I say, well, I understand that. It's not like I want to leave. I just want to, talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more fair. Of course, they wouldn't change because if they changed, they wouldn't really exist. And that's kind of the situation we're in right today. They're not going to exist much longer. But it's not like we're against them or anything like that. The idea is that we find better ways of working with one another. It shouldn't be a situation where they own the album or the work. We're talking about intellectual copyright. If they're going to be indeed a delivery service, then that's fine. But even FedEx doesn't say that they own the thing that they should.
The room froze. Diddy's lead attorney grabbed his client's arm. The color drained from Diddy's face so quickly it was shocking to witness. His entire legal team huddled closer, frantically whispering as the prosecution connected their device to the courtroom audio system. This recording was recovered from Prince's private vault, the prosecutor announced. It was made just weeks before Prince's death in 2016 and was never meant to be heard publicly. Prince created this as insurance, documenting what he witnessed firsthand. When Prince's voice first played through the speakers, a woman in the 3rd row covered her mouth and cried. It wasn't just hearing him. It was his tone. Prince sounded worried, his voice low and secretive, completely unlike his confident stage persona. I'm making this recording because I don't know who to trust anymore, Prince began. The quality was crystal clear. You could hear him taking deep breaths between sentences. This wasn't Prince performing. This was Prince in his most private, unguarded moment. Prince started naming names, specific dates, locations, and at the center of it all was Diddy. He described parties at Diddy's homes in the Hamptons and Miami, the exact same parties that 3 previous witnesses had already testified about. Diddy's confident expression collapsed. His eyes widened. His lawyer tried whispering something to him, but Diddy just stared straight ahead, completely frozen. "What happens at these parties isn't just wrong, it's criminal," Prince said. "I've seen how they operate. I've seen who's involved. I've seen who gets hurt." Each word seemed to hit Diddy like a physical blow. Prince described a specific party in December 2015, naming guests who were there, including 2 celebrities who had previously denied ever attending Diddy's private gatherings. He mentioned seeing the usual setup in the private rooms upstairs, describing details that matched exactly what the prosecution had outlined. "I tried talking to him about it," Prince said. "I told him this had to stop. He just laughed and said I should mind my own business if I wanted to keep working in this industry." The prosecutor paused the recording at that exact moment. Every single person in that courtroom turned to look at Diddy. His composed facade had completely crumbled. His face was ashen. His hands, which had been perfectly still throughout the trial, were now visibly shaking. As the recording continued, Prince revealed he'd been secretly documenting concerning behavior in the music industry for years. "I keep everything," his voice explained. "Dates, times, who was there, what happened. I've been doing this since 2007. Prince described parties at Diddy's homes. "These aren't just parties. They're calculated events. I watched him separate young artists from their teams, get them alone, and put them in situations they couldn't say no to."
Various charges against him. The 3 main ones are racketeering, basically extortion, sex trafficking, and the transportation of people across state lines.
Prince mentioned a direct confrontation with Diddy. "I approached him at the Grammy after-party in 2016. I told him I knew what was happening and it needed to stop. He laughed in my face and said, 'You might be Prince, but you're not untouchable.' I took that as a threat." Most damaging was Prince detailing financial transactions. $2 million to one person, $1.3 million to another. That perfectly matched financial records the prosecution had presented earlier. "I've seen the payments," Prince stated. "I've seen the NDAs they signed. This isn't just rich people behaving badly, it's systematic and calculated." The recording ended with chilling words. "If anything happens to me, make sure this gets to the right people. This isn't just about protecting myself, it's about protecting everyone who hasn't been able to speak up." When Prince's voice finally fell silent, nobody moved. The prosecution had turned Prince into their star witness from beyond the grave. Then it happened. Diddy completely lost control. "That's a lie!" he shouted, his voice echoing through the stunned courtroom. "He wasn't even there. That never happened." The judge immediately banged his gavel. "Order! Order in this court! Mr. Combs, control yourself or I will hold you in contempt." In 7 seconds, Diddy's outburst transformed the entire trial. His legal team jumped into crisis mode, requesting a recess to consult with their client. The judge denied it. As everyone filed out of the courtroom, legal analysts were already making bold predictions. This will be the moment people point to when discussing how the case was lost. One prominent legal expert told his producer, "In a single day, Diddy went from looking like a man fighting false accusations to someone who lost control when confronted with the truth." The prosecution had executed a masterful strategy. They had this bombshell ready from the beginning, but deliberately held it back until Diddy started feeling comfortable. They wanted him relaxed before they dropped it. Prince's voice, clear, specific, and impossible to silence, had done what years of allegations couldn't. It cracked Diddy's carefully maintained facade in front of everyone. The trial continues tomorrow, but everyone knows nothing will be the same. The ghost of a music legend just delivered the most powerful testimony possible, catching one of music's most powerful figures completely off guard.